How do you become the highest grossing director of all time? Easy, don't go to film school. These iconic directors didn't need formal training to make movie masterpieces. If it wasn't for Peter Jackson, our vision of Middle-earth would look a whole lot different today. Jackson's Lord of the Rings adaptations won 17 Academy Awards across 3 movies thanks to their grand scale, groundbreaking special effects, and epic scores. Jackson knew from a young age that he wanted to be a filmmaker, but he wasn't interested in attending school outside New Zealand to make that happen. The nation's film industry wasn't substantial in the 1980s, so he had to do things himself.
I never went to film school, so I don't even know quite what film schools do, to tell you the truth.
After dropping out of high school at the age of 16, Jackson worked hard to earn enough money to purchase his own 16mm camera. Jackson's first film, Bad Taste, was shot on that very camera and premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 1987. Jackson's career was launched with a film that sits snugly in the splatter horror genre, and he used his success to create more of the same with 1993's Dead Alive. He gained international attention with 1994's Heavenly Creatures, which opened the door for his first Hollywood film, The Frighteners. Of course, it wasn't until The Lord of the Rings that the director found himself thrust into the stratosphere. James Cameron is one of the world's most successful directors, but unlike many of his peers, he doesn't have the most consistent output. Instead, he spends years working on his projects, often developing new technology to bring his imagined world to life. He's made several of the highest-grossing films ever made, and there's a simple reason for that. He's a brilliant storyteller who cares about the details. Cameron studied physics at a community college, but transitioned to English before dropping out. He then worked as a truck driver while pursuing his interest in film technology. After seeing Star Wars in 1977, Cameron knew for sure that he wanted to pursue a film career. Cameron's big break came when he sold the rights to The Terminator for just $1. He did this on one condition though: he had to be allowed to direct the movie himself. Years later, Rick Schultz asked Cameron in an interview if film school was a good place for aspiring creators to hone their skills. The director replied, "One of the best things that happened to me was that I didn't go to film school. The main thing is just picking up a camera and making a film. People say, 'How do you get to be a filmmaker?' I say, go home, pick up your video camera, and make a film."
When I started out, I was working as a truck driver, didn't have much spare cash, certainly couldn't afford film school, but all you have to do is pick up a camera and start shooting something.
Lana and Lily Wachowski, collectively known as the Wachowskis, are 2 of the most unique and entertaining directors working in Hollywood today. They made their mark on the industry in 1999 with the release of the sci-fi classic The Matrix, which they co-wrote and directed. The Wachowskis followed a non-traditional path to becoming Hollywood A-listers, having started in the world of comic books. Instead of going to film school, they went to college for other subjects, but they both dropped out before graduating. The pair worked in construction for a bit, and in 1993, they wrote for Marvel Comics' imprint Razorline's Barkerverse. They continued to work in comics, initially conceiving The Matrix for that medium before transitioning the story to the silver screen. Before that happened, though, they had gone to Warner Brothers with the script to an action thriller called Assassins. The film got a page 1 rewrite and failed to turn much of a profit, making the Wachowskis realize that if they wanted their visions brought to life properly, they needed to do it themselves. They directed their first film, Bound, for a few $1 million, and it became a critical success. After seeing what the pair could do behind the camera, producer Joel Silver gave the green light to the movie the Wachowskis were dying to make. Their third film for Warner Brothers was The Matrix, and the sisters have continued to make movies in their own trademark style ever since. Ava DuVernay made her way to the film industry much later than most of her peers. She was 32 when she picked up a camera for the first time, and doing so was the result of a career change. She started working in journalism when she helped cover the O.J. Simpson trial, but she soon became disillusioned with the industry. From there, she worked in public relations and made a move to filmmaking in her early 30s. In an interview with Refinery29, DuVernay said, "For me to pick up a camera as a black woman who did not go to film school, this is a testament to whatever path you're on right now is not necessarily the path you have to stay on. If you're on a path that's not the one that you want to be on, you can also pivot, and you can also move, and age doesn't make a difference. Race, gender.
Can a director also have my hair and my skin and be a girl? Yes, everyone can be it all."
DuVernay's debut film, I Will Follow, was a small indie that garnered great reviews and opened the door for her to score some big-budget projects. On the subject of her first film, DuVernay elaborated, "I made that film having never gone to film school. One of the biggest lessons I learned is to curate the people around you." Terry Gilliam was the only American member of Monty Python, and he spent much of his time creating the group's animated segments. He also performed with the group and directed Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which became a massive hit. When Gilliam started out, directing movies wasn't on the horizon, as he started out as a strip cartoonist and animator. He did this with a BA in political science from Occidental College. Through his work with Help magazine, Gilliam met John Cleese, and after moving to England, he met Eric Idle, Michael Palin, and Terry Jones. Regarding film school, Gilliam has opposed the concept, having spoken about it numerous times. During an appearance on Roundhouse in 2007, Gilliam expressed the opinion that if someone only studies the technical aspect of filmmaking, they'll be unprepared to get to work making movies. In a Facebook post in 2011, Gilliam doubled down on his opinion of film schools, saying it was for fools. The director wrote, "Live and learn how to make films. I didn't go to film school. I just watched movies in the cinemas, and probably my greater education was actually making films, so that's all I would ever say. Watch movies, get a camera, make a movie. And if you do it enough times, eventually you start learning how films are made." Quentin Tarantino is arguably the most successful independent filmmaker of all time, and his work speaks for itself. His first directorial effort was Reservoir Dogs, which quickly established the young director as a force to be reckoned with. He solidified his name in Hollywood history with his second film, Pulp Fiction, and from there he consistently made hit after hit. Tarantino didn't attend film school. In fact, he dropped out of the 9th grade. However, he took acting classes at the James Best Theater Company. He also worked for 5 years at Video Archives in Manhattan Beach, California, where he further educated himself on the artistry and history of cinema.
I got hired because I was a film expert, and then I had 5 years to just do nothing but watch films instead of get a job for a life.
Tarantino has discussed his lack of formal training throughout his career. During a cinema masterclass at Cannes, he told audience members, "Trying to make a feature film yourself with no money is the best film school you can do." Tarantino expanded on this during his time at the film festival, elaborating, "When people ask me if I went to film school, I tell them no, I went to films." Those films made Tarantino into the violence-loving auteur that we know him as today. Joel and Ethan Coen comprise the filmmaking duo collectively known as the Coen brothers. Joel has been credited as director since their first film Blood Simple hit theaters in 1984, while Ethan was uncredited in that role until 2004's Lady Killers. Regardless, both brothers write, produce, and direct. Together they've created The Big Lebowski, Fargo, and No Country for Old Men, but that's a fraction of their outstanding body of work. Joel indeed went to film school, having attended the film program at NYU. Ethan too was no slouch in the education department, but he instead earned an undergraduate degree in philosophy from Princeton. If you've seen his movies, that might not come as much of a surprise. Still, a philosophy degree isn't the same thing as film school. At a press conference for Hail Caesar in 2016, Ethan spoke about his education, saying, "I definitely got a good education. How it prepared me for what I'm doing, I have no idea. But that's the liberal arts thing. I felt well served by the institution." Julie Taymor has been ensconced in the world of theater since 1980, and it's a world she knows all too well. In 1997, her adaptation of The Lion King became the most watched Broadway production of her generation, and according to Playbill, it's the highest-grossing Broadway show of all time. Taymor didn't study film in college, as it wasn't her primary interest. Rather, dance and film have driven her throughout her professional career. Her films are reminiscent of theatrical work, and it's easy to see how that background drives her vision on the big screen. Taymor began working in film in the early 1990s. Her feature debut, the highly successful adaptation of William Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus called Titus, gained worldwide recognition. It did decently upon release and has gone on to become a cult classic. Taymor followed up Titus in 2002 with Frida, a biopic of the artist Frida Kahlo. That movie earned Taymor even more critical acclaim, which she continued to enjoy with Across the Universe, The Tempest, and The Glorious. Steven Spielberg is the highest-grossing director of all time and easily one of the most influential directors of the last 50 years. Making movies was something Spielberg wanted to do ever since he was a kid. He shot a 9-minute film called The Last Gunfight for a Boy Scouts merit badge and continued shooting movies with his father's 8mm camera. Spielberg applied for the film programs at UCLA and USC, but he was rejected because of his grades. Spielberg wanted nothing more than to become a filmmaker though, and he wasn't going to let rejections from film schools keep him from pursuing his dream. He attended classes at California State University, Long Beach, but dropped out when he scored a deal to write and direct the short film Amblin. This early effort earned him a 7-year contract with Universal Television, making him the youngest director at a major studio in Hollywood history. From there, he became the most successful film director of all time, and he did it without attending film school. That said, Spielberg did return to college in 2002 to finish what he started at California State University, Long Beach. After 33 years away, Spielberg Spielberg finally took home a BA in film and electronic media.
But you're better at this than you were in school.
Oh, damn straight.
Stanley Kubrick is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and his work has influenced generations of filmmakers. Interestingly, Kubrick's interests weren't initially as aligned with filmmaking as they were with the technology and cameras used in the process. His first career was in photography, though he didn't attend university to pursue that dream. Instead, he sold prints to Look magazine shortly after graduating high school and went on to become a staff photographer. Kubrick always loved cinema, and after some time, he left Look to make films on tiny budgets by renting cameras and scraping together savings. He studied the technical aspects of filmmaking on his own, and after a great deal of work, he was able to push his way into the industry, becoming an internationally recognized artist. Kubrick told Joseph Gelmas that working on every aspect of his first 2 films helped teach him a great deal. When asked if he would attend film school if he were starting over, Kubrick said, "The best education in film is to make one. I would advise any neophyte director to try and make a film by himself. A 3-minute short will teach him a lot. I know that all the things I did at the beginning were in microcosm the things I'm doing now as a director and producer."